Can somebody please tell me what in tarnations is going on? How have we came from that and ended up with this? It's almost like artists are not even trying anymore. There was a time when AI art didn't even exist, but now human art is just a blank wall, bruv. I mean, come on, brother. It's like you man are taking the piss. You're not even trying anymore. And the same goes for buildings. What you need to know is that this is not an accident. This has been done on purpose. You see, humans become more creative and have a bigger imagination when they see creative forms of art and expression. So in doing this, making things be plain and dull, it dulls our mind down and it stops our creativity and makes us more easily to be controlled. So if you're an artist, keep creating art and be as creative as you can possibly be.
Ancient Greek statues were made so well that we can't even recreate them today. So whatever technique they were using back then to get marble to look like this must have been lost. I mean, just look at the bends in the clothing, how real it looks. And look at his beard, it actually looks like real hair. Like you could almost just go up there and run your hand through his beard. And some details were so small that we need a microscope from today's time to even see them. This muscle right here only contracts whenever you lift your pinky. And look at Michelangelo's pinky in this statue. And then the muscle's contracted. That's crazy detail. Here's a better view of that muscle. Alright, there ain't no way someone created this. I mean, just look at the veil across this lady's face. And they're saying that someone in 1500 created this with a freaking chisel. Just look at the veil on her face. It looks so real, you could just go up and remove it. Alright, someone's got some explaining to do on this one because ain't no way that somebody made this with a freaking chisel. The marble is rolled to look like a real blanket. I mean, that's like a petrified person right there. And what's crazy is none of these statues have any chisel marks or scratches. I find it pretty hard to believe that someone thousands of years ago created something so perfect.
Tartarian Empire in New Zealand. The Tartarians were a high-technology civilization that were known to have lived on Earth in 18 to 1900s. They were told to have discovered free energy that they use wirelessly in their buildings. They were known to have many more high technologies that we could only imagine. All we have is pictures, unquestions, of what they used them for. What happened to them? Why don't we know about Tartaria? Some people say that there was a great reset in the end of the 1800s. A mud flood that wiped everything out and was dug up in the early 1900s. Where was Tartaria? Some people say it was by Russia, but had civilizations in Europe, Asia, Americas, and even more. Some people say they were even in Australia and New Zealand. What evidence do we have of them being in New Zealand? There are a number of buildings in Wellington that look like Tartaria-style buildings, and they were all built in the early 1900s and are done to a high standard for even today's technology. And somehow with their low technology built not one building, but multiple buildings, and all were finished at around the same time. There is one building particular that fits the Tartaria building style and time frame perfectly. It's the old New Zealand Bank building that was built in 1901. It has lower levels that go below ground that have shops, which go with the mud flood theory that this building was dug up and reclaimed. There is even a old Tartaria looking clock that goes off every day. Is this evidence of Tartaria technology? Are they showing it to us in plain sight? Are the Tartarians the people the native Maori say were in New Zealand before they arrived? Is this why the New Zealand government won't let any archaeology sites happen and shut down any research that doesn't go with their narrative? Keep asking questions. Keep your minds open, mind blown 1111.
There's a stone called the Russian Thunderstone. Have you heard of this?
No.
So like in the 1700s, they took a big lump of, I think it's granite from Finland, and they shipped it to St. Petersburg. And so this is how they did it. A system of rails, big steel rails. It took them forever. It weighed about 1,500 tons. It's about the same size as the obelisk that's sitting in Egypt, in Aswan. It's still in the ground. It's like 1,200 tons of granite. And you're expected to believe that they somehow were going to lift this thing up out of a quarry over these, like basically big hills and mountains, and put it on a little ship. You're absolutely delusional if you think this was a simple task that could be achieved with primitive methods and then ship that thing 1,000 miles somewhere. We can do things like that today, but it takes hydraulics and diesel powers and cranes and all that stuff. They may have had an entirely different avenue of tech.
You even have the US Army Special Forces, which are covertly deployed to those areas of Earth to prevent any local populations from knowing about the presence of the white giants. Is this done for our own protection and safety? It is known that the US Army Special Forces, also known as the Green Berets, attacked a 13-foot tall red-haired white giant which had 6-fingered hands. The aggressive giant had emerged to confront them from inside the Tora Bora dark cave of the Spingar mountain range in eastern Afghanistan. This confrontation happened on the 8th of December 2001. During the Battle of Tora Bora, which lasted from the 6th of December to the 17th of December 2001. According to the legends of the Afghans, a community of huge-looking humanoids reside in the Spingar mountain range in eastern Afghanistan and are known locally as the Spingar mountain giants. Some of the enlisted soldiers or ground infantry fired on the aggressive white giant, which retreated back into the Tora Bora cave. This event has never been acknowledged by United States Army Special Operations Command at the installation known as Fort Bragg in North Carolina, USA.
Kind of interesting, Eyes Wide Shut, because Stanley Kubrick was trying to tell us something. He died very soon after that film was given to Warner Bros. But when he gave them the original movie, the Warner Brothers executives were watching it in theatre, and when they walked out, they basically, this is this great director, just ignored it. They just walked past it and insisted that 25 minutes of the movie was cut. When he agreed to fake the moon landing shots, he thought, well, I'm going to make sure that I get a deal here. And he got a deal, according to Jay Wayne, that his movies could never be edited or censored again. So when they asked for 25 minutes to be taken out, he refused. And a few days later, not long later, he's dead. And they took 25 minutes out that have never been seen. When you see what's in the movie and how far that goes, what the hell was in the 25 minutes that they wouldn't allow to be shown?
It's a dark movie.
Yeah.
Facts about the moon that will change your perception of it and reality forever. Now remember, these aren't highly possible theories, but pure scientific and mathematical facts. Number 1, the same side of the moon faces us at all times. This means that the side that is dark is always dark, and the side that is light is always light. So truly we don't know what's on the dark side of the moon. Number 2, it is the exact same size precisely as the sun in the sky, not bigger or smaller, which is actually like a 1 in a million chance of happening in our galaxy. And number 3, this one is really surprising. Scientists everywhere are now saying mathematically it has to be hollow. And this is after trying to prove that the hollow theory of the moon is wrong. In declassified documents, NASA reports doing a test on the lunar surface by crash landing on it, and they reported a bell noise happening for over an hour and a half. Scientists are saying for this to happen naturally is literally 1,000,000,001,000,000, not to mention that a planetary body being hollow is literally impossible. They still can't even explain how it was made, only theories. Now let's not all forget, astral projectors, private astronomers, and astronauts all report seeing weird stuff while observing or going there. Scientists that study the moon are now all coming out and saying this thing has to be artificial. But anyhow this gets released, people are going to start asking who made it, and that's going to cause extraterrestrial life to be well known, which will cause elites to lose their power. I think it's time humans start becoming more intelligent and questioning their reality instead of living blindly like how the elites want them to. When you become more intelligent, it's not just you that wins, we all as a collective win. Stop fighting each other, stop getting drunk every night, and start seeking education.
We're finally going back to the moon. Yeah, we're going back. Or we're going for the first time. Wait, or we're not going at all, and we never have been. I don't know. Well, either way, NASA says we're going back, and this is the crew that they just picked. This is what they're going to be landing on the moon with. And this aluminum full tin can thing's what they landed with in 1969. Maybe they'll see the flag that waved that wasn't supposed to wave because that's not possible on the moon. Or maybe they'll see the footprint that didn't match the boots. Yeah, I know, this is supposed to be his slip-in space boot, and that's not. Whatever makes you happy. I mean, even Buzz Aldrin, who was there on the moon landing, said it didn't happen to an 8-year-old in an interview. And hundreds of other times he's admitted that it never happened. Maybe the president will even call them from a landline like Richard Nixon did in 1969. They must have had better service back then than we do now. We were in a massive space race with the Soviet Union at the time. So getting to the moon first was a must for us. We had to create the biggest hoax of all time. Here's a leaked photo of them working on the lunar module on set. But nonetheless, we're going back to the moon.
One of the strangest places on the ocean's floor was only just discovered in the 1990s. I might agree it's one of a handful of people to ever see it in person.
Without a doubt, one of the most amazing things that I had ever seen in the bottom of the ocean. It was while filming for Blue Planet. It was in the Gulf of Mexico. And I noticed there's something out in the distance. Couldn't tell exactly what, but it looked like a dark band. And as we approached it, the dark band became a donut. I saw this donut that was black in the center. What the heck is that? And so as we get closer and closer to it, I noticed that the black band had what appeared to be kind of steam over it. And then I looked, and there was water lapping against the shoreline. This band was a ring of mussels. And inside the ring of mussels was a lake. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm already underwater. We went out over the water in this lake and tried to descend in it and bounced off. It was so super saline and dense that the submarine couldn't go down in it. We literally bounced off, and as we bounced off, we sent ripples heading back to the shoreline. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it.
1972, he started speaking about heavy water with special properties that comes from the bottom of the sea. But this must have meant that at 19,000 feet, because it had a higher density, it would have been sitting there. So you can have water within water. So it was just sitting there. So when they put the capsule down and were trying to recover whatever they recovered this stuff that was sitting at this well. And it was. He reports in his notes that they recovered the water from this depression. And so what happened was rumors started spreading about the vessel. This was some type of curative of water. So one of the sailors who had a gash in his hand that was infected comes in and says, I want you to put it on that. And he does. He dabs it in a rag and he dabs it on the sailor. The following day,
we're going to need to talk. Starting with this video here. You've probably already seen it before, but in case you haven't.
Someone uploaded this video to YouTube many years ago. It literally casts its own shadow.
So not only does it cast a shadow, the way this thing enters water does not look like a human wearing a costume. Like no diver enters water like that. Now check out this TikTok that was posted by this user here.
It literally has human hands. The spine.
When I saw this, it reminded me of something. Now, of course, being the internet, nobody believed her, but she had the receipts. Check it out.
And these are my nails, just as evidence that it was me.
I don't know, man. What do you think? They look really similar.
Do you remember when the world was supposed to end on December 21st, 2012? Well, this was all based on the Mayans calendar, and they weren't actually that wrong. On December 23rd, 2012, there was a coronal mass ejection plasma ball shot out from the sun, bigger than Mount Everest, heading straight for Earth. But for some reason was bumped off course and was sent between the moon and Earth. Even the top elites were all sent to Mount Weatherby to be protected in a bunker. But some people believe that the world actually did end in 2012, and here's why. Now, we all know who Stephen Hawking is, but he predicted when the God particle was found that the world would end. But in 2012, the God particle was found, known as Higgs boson, but this is where it gets really weird. I think everyone here knows what CERN is, the company that's trying to make black holes to go into other dimensions. Well, guess who discovered the Higgs boson God particle? But CERN didn't come out and tell people that they had the God particle until 10 years later. They're also the ones storing and using the God particle right now. It's so strong that even if you tried to destroy it, it would become destabilized and literally suck in everything around it.